she not going to be here? It's Marcia.
I'd like to call this village board meeting to order. This is Tuesday, December 10th. If we'll all stand, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Present.
Trustee DeVivo? Trustee Cajanis?
Present.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse? Present. Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Mayor Daley?
Present. This would be D. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay. E. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of October 8th, 2013?
So moved.
First by trustee Cajanis, second by trustee Costa. Any discussion?
Mayor, I'd like to, just at the end of the meeting, on the minutes, just go over something under old business,
Okay, these minutes or
the October 8th ones.
the October 8th ones? Well, I think we would have to,
Discuss it now.
discuss it now.
Well, the only thing that I had, and I talked to you earlier, with not having a liquor license set, to where the lawyers got back to us on how we can do it, I just want to make sure all that's in line and we're not approving something by approving the minutes.
I think maybe I can clarify something. I think if I'm correct, what we decided to do with them was to issue them a regular license until the time that we straightened out how we want the liquor licenses to read. And at that time, they agreed to move to the appropriate liquor license. I believe that's how it was handled.
Yeah, pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Does that satisfy your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Then, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
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 And what, is there further discussion, or you're just voting nay?
Well, I did want to say that I don't think the F license is really defined yet, and it makes it difficult to approve something in these minutes, because I thought that we would have had more information on the liquor license definitions or any changes by this time. And then I understand from reading that they have a approval to build out based on fire department, which approved it, and also the health department. So I don't know what kind of kitchen they have. So that's my concern, and that's why I'm voting no.
Okay. All right, so we have one no, which is trustee Sabo. Motion carries. This would be, let's see here, where are we? This would be E2. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of October 29th, 2013 special board meeting?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by, that was trustee Yukich. Trustee Yukich, is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. This would be F. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of November 28th to December 11th, 2013?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee Sabo. Is there any discussion?
I did have a question.
Go right ahead.
Okay, on page one to the third item, area construction, wall repair and painting, I just wondered, do we have some damage? Wall
No,
damage?
we've been, over the course of the past year, we've been repainting some walls that were seriously scuffed and looked very bad, and so that was the last one, I think. that
Okay,
we-
it wasn't damage, it was just treat,
I
wall.
think that's just the category that it falls in.
I see.
Yep.
Okay, does that answer your question, trustee Sabo?
It certainly does, thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Cajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, this would be G, the public hearing. The regular meeting will be in recess for the purposes of conducting a public hearing. Is there a motion to open the public hearing on an ordinance authorizing the execution of an annexation agreement for the approximate 44.65 acres of property located generally on the northeast corner of 159th Street and Gauger Road, Lockport, Illinois?
So moved.
First by trustee K. Janis,
Second.
second by trustee Costa. Let's see here. The public hearing on the ordinance authorizing the execution of annexation agreement for approximately 44.65 acres of property located generally on the northeast corner of 159th Street and Gauger Road, Lockport, Illinois, is open for comments. Is there anyone that wishes to comment on the annexation agreement? I'll ask it again. Is there anyone that wishes to comment on the annexation agreement? Okay. Then the meeting will be called back to order. Is there a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee Yukich. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. So like I said, the meeting will be called back to order. The next agenda item is reports and communications. I'll start out. Under Northern Will County Water Agency meeting. The Water Agency met yesterday to pay bills, all of which will be uploaded onto the village's website, and to get an update on the litigation regarding the Water Agency's condemnation procedures to purchase Illinois American Water's Bedford Park water transmission line. The attorneys will be scheduling depositions with the mayors and village presidents of all 5 water agency partners. As information becomes available, I will continue to update the public and the village board. Snow plowing and parking. I want to remind everyone to remove their vehicles from the street when there is over 2 inches of snow on the ground. If you know that a snowstorm is coming, please move your vehicles in advance so that the highway department can get out there and do their jobs of salting and clearing our roads. Anyone that parks on the roads should remove their vehicles immediately following a snowfall of 2 inches or more. Otherwise, the vehicle may be towed and/or a ticket could be issued. For more information, please visit the Village of Homer Glen's website at www.homerglen.org. Village Hall closed for the holidays. As a reminder, the Village Hall will be closed on December 24th and 25th in observance of the holiday. Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you all enjoy a safe and happy holiday season with your friends and family. And that concludes the mayor's report. We'll start out with trustees. How about trustee Costa?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a happy and safe New Year. See everybody next year. Thank you, Mayor.
Great. Trustee Yukich?
I go along with trustee Costa. Everyone, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next year.
Great. Trustee Sabo?
Well, I'll ditto on that, and I would love everybody to have a Merry Christmas and help others, and happy, prosperous New Year. My report is for the Environment Committee, the tree inventory and the Emerald Ash Borer grant. The Environment Committee held their meeting Monday, December 9th, that was yesterday, and Mark Dunneman of Natural Path Urban Forestry Consultants was present to review the tree inventory and the information surveyed pertaining to health conditions of trees, types, location, and tree species. The Environment Committee will be meeting with Mr. Dunneman in January to review and update the current Homer Glen tree ordinance and the attachments pertaining to trees appropriate for planting in specific locations. Mr. Dunneman will be meeting with staff pertaining to combining the Homer Glen GIS with the tree inventory and to initiate training on managing the managing the tree inventory. Regarding meeting dates of the Environment Committee, the Environment Committee will be meeting on the first Tuesday of each month in 2014, which is a change from their schedule of meeting on the second Monday of each month. And that's my report.
Thank you, trustee Sabo. Trustee K. Janis?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. First, I'd like to start off by stating that on Wednesday at 10 a.m., Hallmark will be reopening. We'll be having a ribbon cutting at the Plaza, Dominic's Plaza. Look forward to them and long and prosperous years ahead. Also, I'd like to state that Sherwin-Williams here in Homer Glen and Sherwin-Williams across the country is having a Color of the Year sale to expire, if I understand it correctly, December 31st. So shop your local merchants. They give back to our community in many ways. Also, I'd like to acknowledge we have a chamber president here in the audience, Michelle Coakley. Michelle and I had an opportunity to meet and discuss certain items for the coming year last week. Look forward to a long relationship of open meeting. That's fantastic. I just got passed a note. Congratulations and best wishes on your engagement. Thank you, Sharon. I was wondering what that celebration was on Facebook. Congratulations. But no, we had a great meeting and discussion. I know we have shared common interests, the village, myself, and your chamber. Look forward to that. Our next meeting will be for the Community Economic Development Committee. Will be January 9th here in the Village Hall at 7:30. All's welcome to come and watch, listen, observe, and speak. Also, to finish up, I know we have a long agenda. Happy holidays. Let's have a great new year. And I heard a rumor out there that it's going to be cold, so stay warm.
Thank you, Trustee K. Janice. Trustee Suisse?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Reporting for the Homer Harvest Days Committee, we have delayed our next meeting until after the holidays. At that time, we'll be sending out notices to the exhibitors and vendors asking for their participation in 2014. We are always looking for new and unique participants. And that concludes my report. I would just like to wish everyone a wonderful holiday season and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Trustee Suisse. That concludes the trustees' reports. Does the treasurer have a report?
No report, Mayor.
Okay, how about the village clerk?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Does the village attorney have a report?
No report.
Do any task force chairpersons have a report? How about public safety officials? How about the village manager?
I hate to end this pattern, but I have a few things. Okay, so just want to remind everybody that's in the audience, in case you're so inclined, we have a canned food drive going on, and box food too, I guess. And anyone who would like to drop off items for the fish food pantry here at Village Hall, we'd be happy to take it, and we'll deliver it over to Lockport. I know they'd appreciate it. Also, I know Michelle's in the audience. We've already recognized her. Congratulations again. But State Farm is having an event, I think, on Thursday from 5 to 7. And they're also collecting canned food items for the fish food pantry, along with toys for kids, I think. So if you're not able to stop by here and you want to donate, you can drop by State Farm on Thursday between 5 and 7 and donate. I know the fish food pantry will appreciate it. ComEd notified us here just, I believe, yesterday about some construction activity that will involve traffic over the weekend. So for the board's information and the public that's here at the meeting, over on I-355, there'll be some closures on both Saturday and Sunday. Various lanes will be closed. There will be through traffic, but they're starting their ComEd electric grid expansion program where they're installing poles down 355, and so on various points on both Saturday and Sunday, lanes will be closed, and they want you to know that. There's also additional information on the village's website. These past couple years, we've been listing at a public meeting when the Northern Will County Water Agency meetings will take place for the upcoming year. So for 2014, these dates and locations are all on our website. The first meeting on March 10th will be held in Homer Glen. The second meeting on June 9th will be held at Lamont, all of these at the Village Halls. The third meeting on September 8th, 2014 will be in Romeoville at their Village Hall, and the last meeting of 2014 will be on December 8th at the Woodridge Village Hall. The next item, today, village staff received an application for a special use to permit a group home in a residential zoning district from Trinity Services here in Homer Glen. The property that they have submitted a special use permit request for is located on the south side of the community at 17633 South Crystal Lake Drive in the Crystal Lake subdivision. The home proposes to provide a residence for 4 developmentally disabled male adults in the village's current zoning regulations, a small group home, less than 6 residents, is considered a special use. So this item is expected to appear on the Planning Commission's agenda on January 6th. Aaron, of course, as always, for the Village Board, would be happy to answer any questions that you have. And also, Trinity Services is eager to meet with anyone from the Village Board that would like a one-on-one discussion in a more informal session about their proposal and what they propose to provide at the home that they hope to open. The final item that I have tonight is, as the board, oh, I'm sorry, Michael, I almost forgot you. Why don't you give, Michael has an update on one of our maintenance items for stormwater improvement. So go ahead, Michael.
Several meetings ago, the board approved contracts with Homer Tree Care for cleaning 2 detention ponds. One was in the Spring Creek Trail subdivision, the other one in the Meadowview subdivision. The areas in the ponds were pretty wet. They've been consistently wet for quite a long time. Mosquito haven, that sort of thing. So basically, we executed the contracts, but we've been basically waiting for the correct or the proper weather. Believe it or not, this is the proper weather for that type of work. With the ground frozen now for an extended period of time, it'll hopefully support the equipment that they need to go in there and clean up. So they are anticipating starting the Meadowview one possibly tomorrow, depending on the weather. If not, then it'll be Thursday. And then the next one, Spring Creek Trails, when we, again, depending on the weather, it could be sometime in the next couple weeks. But just wanted to give the board an update that it is something that we were watching the weather for and just waiting for the proper weather, just so they can do limited damage, limited disturbance of the area. So, and like I said, they certainly didn't want to get their equipment stuck in there. So right now is probably the best time to do it.
Thank you. Very good. My final item is, Aaron, come on up. So I mentioned at the last board meeting when Aaron was gone, so it was sprung here a little bit. Aaron, for those of you in the public who don't know Aaron handles our planning and zoning in the community, and she is a very, she's outstanding young professional, and recently she spent quite a bit of time, as the board knows, studying for a very important certification test that is pretty rare, and we're thrilled that she was able to pass it. She can't use the initials yet because, you know, she's got to pay the dues portion first before she can pay to use it. But in not too distant future, she's going to be putting the initials AICP after her name, which means American Institute of Certified Planners. We're just so happy that she was able to do it. So we have an ABCD award for achievement by employees. It's kind of above and beyond the Call of Duty. That's ABCD. And I give them a $50 gift certificate to spend here in town in Homer Glen. So congratulations. Okay. All right, you hold it up. There you go. Put this down right here. Thanks, John. There you go.
Okay, anything else, Cam?
That's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, the next that concludes reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. Next portion of this meeting is public comment. Do you have anybody, Joe, for public comment? Thank you. Okay. The first speaker would be, I'm having a hard time reading it. I just got a new pair of glasses here. Last name is Z-A-I-O.
Good evening, Mayor. I'm Connie Zao with Jewel Asco, and I just signed in case there was any questions on
Okay.
any of our items on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker would be Jim Fritz. Tom Fritz. Can't even read.
Thank
How
you.
about
I'm
that
here
one?
for item number 3 on the action plan. My wife and I recently purchased 20 acres of land to which we would like to construct a home. It will be a 4,000 square foot craftsman home consisting primarily of brick on the first and second floor. In doing so, we would need to request 2 variances. One, for less than 2% of the house, which is basically above the window trim, we would like to do something other than brick on the first floor, which is like an LP wood siding. And the second thing is our minimum lot variance We have only 66 feet of frontage that physically touches the road, even though we have 1,300 feet of frontage of property through the 20 acres. We sit off the road approximately 700 feet, so we're applying for a variance to grant access to the property to construct the home. So if you have any questions, feel free to talk to me.
Okay, thank you. The next speaker would be Michelle Coakley.
Hi, everyone. As you said, my name is Michelle Coakley from State Farm here in Homer Glen. I just wanted to come and introduce myself as the new president of the chamber here in the village. I'm excited to share our new executive board as well. We have our past president, Renee Sabin, who's a local realtor. Our vice president is Mike Buddy, who's been a business owner here in Homer since, I think he told me like 1996, so 17 years or so, and been very involved with the chamber. I think our new executive board brings a lot of diverse thoughts and experiences, so I'm excited to share. Our treasurer is actually Jody Edelman, and she's the owner of probably one of our oldest businesses, right? Bellside 7 here in Homer. Obviously, that's history for her, but she's very excited to be a part of our chamber as well. Our secretary is Kim Bream from the high school, who, of course, brings a lot of fundraising activities and community involvement to the board. We've also brought 3 new members onto the board this year, all of whom are local business owners, whether it be owner or operator, I'm sorry, but whether it be, mullets or a home-based business like Shackley Sales. So we're really excited to, have the new board made up of a lot of small business owners in the community. We have not held our 2014 visionary meeting yet, but I do plan for part of that goal and vision to be very closely working with the village on items that may impact our members, and I invite any village board input to be sent to me in the meantime. We continue to have our monthly meetings on the 3rd Tuesday of every month at the library, so of course you're all invited. That's always an open meeting, and that's it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michelle. The next speaker would be J.D. Salazar.
Hi, Mayor, trustees. I signed in just in case there are any questions about the Boo annexation.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next speaker would be Dennis Gerwin.
Dennis Irving, 12250 West Liberty Lane, Homer Glen, Orland Park. I just want to make a few comments about the workshop item for tonight. That's the proposed, what I call hot farm that wants to come to Homer Glen. We should get a few things, I think, straight. Medicinal marijuana is probably exactly not that. It's not known to cure anything at all. It doesn't cure anything. It's a feel-good drug, much like a cheap bottle of whiskey. There are people that claim that they need it, they have to have it. I have it in my own family. I have a niece that smokes marijuana because it gets her a little bit high and she forgets about her pain. I don't think that's a good enough reason to have it on Bell Road, anywhere on Bell Road, next to Dominic's or alongside Goodies over there or anywhere. If we are forced to have it, then I think an out-of-the-way place, I believe an Amico Drive or Amico Drive, however you pronounce it, was at first mentioned as a location. The state only allows a certain amount of these things, and I would think that if you're going to put something like that someplace, you're going to put it where you're going to get the most people, and percentage-wise, probably the most amount of people that, quote, require medicinal marijuana. I don't see that happening in Homer Glen. I think if we get it here, we're going to attract a lot of people that maybe we don't want in this community. And I don't think we need that here. The gentleman that says that he may put one in this town has desires, much like the man that wants to put the diaries in. He wants to flood the state with these things. He wants to get every franchise that he can and medicinal marijuana. I just don't think Homer Glen is a place for something like this, not at all. Thank you.
Okay. For the record, nobody has applied for any license for any type of distributorship or pot growing farm or anything like that. What this is it's a preemptive type of move here to pick a certain classification of zoning where if somebody came to you, you could control through ordinance because the ordinance would exist. They will have to be in a certain location versus anywhere. So nobody has come to Homer Glen to ask them to do this. This is just a preemptive strike. Okay, that concludes a public comment. The next portion of this meeting is legislation and action items. Let's see. This would be J1. Is there a motion to approve the purchase and installation of 3 flagpoles at Stonebridge Park by Liberty Flag and Banner, Inc. for the amount not to exceed $6,929?
So moved.
First by trustee K. Janice,
Second.
second by trustee Sabo. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I'd like to just say that I'm very happy that this has come up on our agenda to erect an American flag, a symbol of our freedoms that we enjoy in this country. So I'm very proud that we are taking up this discussion and this vote to finally honor the veterans, men and women, sons and daughters, husbands and wives that have served this country, and the symbol that represents all of us in America and Homer Glen. This is the reason why we sit up here today. It's because of that symbol.
Thank you. Am I correct, Cam, these are the flags that Mr. Walt Kono is going to donate?
I believe you had those conversations with him,
Yes.
and he indicated that he would, yes. I also just want to say real quick, I know there may be other questions, but you'll notice, and I always like to point this out, the quotes that we got from various providers, and I think there's, 3 or 4 in here. Staff did some work on it and talked to many people. The one that staff is recommending is actually not the lowest price. Okay, and when staff makes these recommendations, we take into consider responsiveness to requests for proposal documentation, how close they are, what their responsiveness might be if there was a problem with the flagpole, discussions we have with them and things of that nature. So I just want to raise that issue because as you look through the attachments, you will see slightly lower prices from other vendors, but this is the one that the staff is recommending based on responsiveness.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
No, discussion, please.
Well, you have to speak up. You have to say,
No, you
Mr. Mayor.
usually, well, I will speak up, but as mayor, you usually call for discussion.
This is discussion.
Well, you usually call on the
Okay,
manager
go ahead.
first. Okay, very good. I just wanted to ask the manager, the price is extreme between the first and the second. You said the reason was that the close proximity was a reason, and that it was Liberty, and Liberty is in Chicago, so that's close, and the others are in Waukegan or Blue Island. That's not too far away. So, and of course, Freeport is very far.
Right.
But
what I always do is the staff members that handle this, I trust quite a bit. John, of course, our EMA guy, John Robinson, he had many conversations with these, and sometimes, you say which one, but sometimes you ask for a proposal and it doesn't come for weeks later. You ask for additional information, it never comes, or you have to call 5 or 6 times to get that information. Those are typically the kind of vendors that we try to shy away from, versus the one that's being recommended tonight, which was immediate response, very eager, on the phone, looking for lighting, down lighting, looking for stuff. So where we can find a vendor that's close in price, I think the difference is $400 or $500 from top to bottom, that's close in price but appears to provide better service and we feel like we can count on them more. That's worth it to us because we don't have the maintenance staff, to take care of stuff when there's problems. We have to call on these vendors. So I think that's the reason John made that recommendation.
well, that's certainly understandable that you do want to respond to me when something goes wrong. The the cut sheets, you said you had cut sheets for everybody, but I didn't see the cut sheets from the vendors, only a picture of the one that we're considering, and also the flagpole heights.
Yeah, a number of them are the same. They actually buy the same flagpole, most of them. It's a one brand that's manufactured, and they all buy it and mark it up differently. So that's why there's just one copy, to save
Okay.
copies, basically.
Okay, so there are 3 flagpoles and only one will be lit, and that's the American flag.
The one in the middle, that's the one that's required to be
And I
lit.
know at one time that you had concern as to whether the solar light would be on all night. You had experience where it didn't stay. So is there a guarantee with that?
Well, that was 5 or 6 years ago. That was in another community I worked in, and they've upgraded them quite a bit. This one also is a little bit larger than the one that I had previously had experience with. It has more surface area on the top for solar. So I think these things have really exponentially improved, both the lights that we put in the grounds around our homes and these kinds of things. So I have confidence in this.
Okay, it says that the light is 75 lux. So is there any more information on that as to its brightness, the correlated color temperature, the Kelvin? Is there any known information on how bright that would be?
Right. Well, the current lighting ordinance allows for uplighting, as you know, and this is downlighting. Okay, so it's actually lower than the uplighting would be. So we're not doing uplighting, which the ordinance allows. We're doing downlighting. So we didn't think it would be a big problem, since we feel it's meeting the intention of the ordinance.
Well, no, downlighting is pretty good. I'm concerned about the type of lighting for downlighting. The only thing that we have in the commentary was that it was 75 lux.
Right.
So 70, and then you do mention that the lumens is at 1100, but lumens and lux are not the same. So we don't know how bright this is going to be.
It's going to be bright enough to illuminate the American flag.
Well, that's what we want.
Okay.
In its pride and its glory.
That's what we want, and
Okay,
we want to light the flag. It's a symbol of our country. It's very important. But how it's going to be lit, we understand would be downlighting. But what type of light? Because the ordinance says 3,300 Kelvin or below. So did you have information on?
We'll make sure that it falls within that category. It won't be installed if it's above that, or won't be purchased if it's above that.
Okay, is this LED lighting?
Yeah, it's LED.
Because usually that is with batteries. So the batteries would
This is solar.
have to be changed.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a comment, if I may, at this
Well,
point.
I haven't finished yet.
Trustee Sable's finishing up.
Okay, there's been several
Go ahead.
comments from.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have a long meeting here. I mean,
Well-
this is a light that's on the American flag. Can we, move this forward?
Let's not take this lightly. This is important.
No, men and women lost their lives for this,
This
that
is
flag.
important.
Okay,
Now,
let's
who
stay in
has the
order.
floor, he or I?
You have the floor.
Okay. Lux is different than lumens. So if you were thinking that 75 lux would be 1,100 lumens, it is not. So, and in our lighting ordinance, we don't have a definition for lux, but the definition is it's about illumination, the amount of light coming from the bulb and how it reflects on the surface. So, and then lumens, of course, is the light output. So we don't know what we're getting. We actually do not know how bright this light is going to be.
Right, but all of that is for uplighting.
I know, but
Right, so this is
right.
downlighting.
I know, but we still do not know how bright
We-
this is
Well,
going to
we
be.
won't purchase it or
this is
install it if
getting-
it
this is
doesn't
getting
meet the
ridiculous.
requirements.
We said we're not going to buy a light for the pole that exceeds our ordinance, okay? And if that ends up having to be, we're going to have to change our ordinance to accommodate the American flag to be lit.
Well, the flag should be lit well. I certainly agree with that. But there is something that doesn't follow the ordinance, and that is that we have 20-foot pole for residents and residential areas, and we have a 24 foot, excuse me, 25-foot pole for commercial, industrial, and lighting zones. And so the American flag is at 30. So how do we figure that we are following the ordinance?
The ordinance allows 30 feet.
I'm
For
sorry,
The village ordinance currently allows 30 feet.
the village
For
ordinance,
flagpoles.
but it's not in the lighting ordinance?
The village ordinance currently allows 30 feet for flagpoles.
Okay, so I think that if the village ordinance allows it, we're not talking about the lighting ordinance itself, are we?
The village ordinance, building ordinance, is 30 feet for flagpoles.
So it's the building ordinance. I think
Yeah.
then what we,
The zoning ordinance
So
allows 30
that's a
feet. That's
consi-
what we use, that is what we've been traditionally using.
Okay.
So there are a number of 30-foot flagpoles around.
I just installed one myself through
so
one of
that's,
these companies.
so that
30
is
foot.
maybe a consideration for including in the lighting ordinance that we're talking about, 30 feet for certain areas. Okay?
Okay. Are you finished?
Yes, I
Okay.
am.
I
Thank
have
you.
one, oh, go ahead.
No,
Trustee
go ahead.
Kajana,
Trustee
Trustee Suisse, go ahead.
I just have one comment on the proposal. Did they propose for 3 solar lights? Because it shows for 297?
We're getting one.
Okay,
Just
well, I
for the
didn't.
mix, 'cause, the state law doesn't require state flags to be lit
Right,
at night.
right.
So
Well-
we're just lighting the American in the middle.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep.
And just to finish it up, we are talking about the American symbol of freedom for our country. What I understand, if correct, U.S. Congress has adopted some amendments that, for the proper display of the American flag, those proper displays of the American flag shall not be abridged. In other words, no laws could abridge the proper displaying of the American flag. The American flag should be the beacon, which it is the beacon for all countries, and should be the beacon for ourselves and our children to shine bright.
Okay, thank you, Trustee K. Janis. Any further discussion?
I had one comment.
Go right ahead, Trustee Sabo.
And I think that this conversation or the questions that I did have could have been answered or could have been resolved if the Environment Committee were involved with this. And I had asked to be informed about the flag lighting. I knew this was going on. So that since we have the standard operating procedure for the lighting, we should have been included in this.
It's not even considered important. You're lighting the American flag. Let's get past this, all right?
Well,
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
let's treat each committee the same we treat for all committees.
Madam Clerk,
The
please call the
same
roll.
respect.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
I do want to light the flag. Yes.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J2. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 13-017, a resolution authorizing an $85,746.45 reduction of the letter of credit number 206-1496 for the Hidden Cove subdivision from the current LOC amount of $341,421.15 to the new LOC amount of $255,674.70.
So moved.
First by
second.
trustee Yukic, second by trustee Costa. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J3. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 13-064, an ordinance granting a variance for minimum lot width frontage of the A1 agricultural zoning district and a variance to permit a reduction of the required first floor masonry materials of a single-family residence for the subject property located at 14505 West 151st Street, Homer Glen, Illinois. In parentheses, the name is Fritz.
So moved.
Second.
First by trustee Costa, second by trustee Sabo. Is there any discussion?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering, where on this property, you have 4 lots there, and they're all owned by you. Is there any intention to do something in the future with those lots?
Correct. 2 of the lots to the furthest east are kind of wet spots, so the intention is to create kind of a wildlife sanctuary. We're going to plant some trees and do whatever we can to enhance the environment. That's kind
Okay.
of why we're moving here. We like the country feel. The house would be on the furthest northwest, the top left corner
Up
of
in a
all the
corner there?
lots. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a higher elevation. It's about a 20-foot elevation difference up there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J4. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 13-065, an ordinance granting a variance from the allowable number of wall signs per building elevation from the applicable regulations of the zoning ordinance for the property commonly known as 14200 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois. This is the Jewel Osco.
So moved.
First by trustee
Aye.
Yukich,
I second.
second by trustee Swees. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I just quickly point out, this is actually a reduction in signage.
Okay.
Oh.
Great. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J5. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 13-066, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of a special use to permit the sale of alcoholic beverages, a special use to permit outdoor sales, and a special use to permit hours of operation outside the normal business hours for the property commonly known as 14200 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, Jewel Osco, contingent upon the removal of the confined area suitable enclosure requirement from the village's liquor ordinance. 2, the allowance of sale of liquor in departments other than the liquor department. And 3, the allowance of tasting of liquor in departments other than the liquor department.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee Yukich. Is there any discussion?
One comment, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Sure.
There was a public hearing on this, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct. And one final thing real quick, just because as I read through it, I didn't know if it was clear. This is basically the same way that Dominic's has been operating. So they're asking for the same thing that has traditionally been the case.
Okay. Any further questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J6. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 13-067, an ordinance amending section 13 of ordinance number 01-022, providing for the control of alcoholic liquor within the village of Homer Glen? It is understood that the number of Class D liquor license package store will increase from 4 to 5 within the village of Homer Glen.
I so move.
First by trustee Swees.
Second.
Second by trustee Kajanis. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. This will be J7. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 13-068, an ordinance assigning an available Class D liquor license package sale to American Drug Stores LLC, DBA Osco Drug, number 2503, located at 14200 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee Sabo. Is there any discussion?
I do have one question, Mayor.
Sure.
Jewel and Osco are the same. Why are we doing 2 separate liquor licenses, especially if it's in the same building?
No, I think what you're doing, if I have this correctly, and Cam can correct me if I'm wrong, you're creating the license and then you're issuing the license in the next piece of legislation. So the liquor license that you created in J6,
Okay,
we just
that's
we just gave away.
I understand it now.
Okay. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J8. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 13-069, an ordinance amending section 13 of ordinance number 01-022, providing for the control of alcohol liquor within the Village of Homer Glen. It is understood that the number of Class D liquor licenses will decrease from 5 to 4 within the Village of Homer Glen, effective January 12th, 2014.
So moved.
First by trustee Yukich.
I second.
Second by trustee Costa. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sluis.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee Giannis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good luck, Jewel. Thanks for coming to town. Okay, this would be J9. Is there a motion to approve the 2013 village staff pay increases that include the following? A 5% salary increase for 2 part-time staff members retroactive to their individual employment anniversary, a 1.5% cost of living pay increase for all 11 full-time staff members retroactive to May 1st, 2013, merit pay increases for 10 full-time staff members ranging from 1.6% to 4%, and recommended equity adjustments for the Development Service Director position, Assistant to the Village Manager, Administration position, Building Department Administrative Assistant position, and the Receptionist/Accountant Clerk position, all retroactive to May 1st, 2013.
So moved.
First by trustee K. Janis.
I second.
Was that you?
That's all right.
Okay. Second by trustee Sweet. You both went at the same time. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee Giannis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Sluis.
Uh,
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J10. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 13-070, an ordinance authorizing the execution of an annexation agreement between the Village of Homer Glen, Illinois, and Catherine L. Boo, David C. Boo, Catherine L. Boo, as custodians for Brandon Michael Boo, Aaron Carl Boo, Rachel Louise Boo, and Sarah and Colleen Boo, and Kathleen L. Boo as trustees of the Marion L. Myers Gift Trust for Brandon Michael Boo and Aaron Carl Boo under agreement dated December 27, 1990, and First Midwest Bank as successor trustee to First National Bank of Lockport as trustee under trust agreement dated October 2nd, 1995, and known as trust number 72-23580.
I so move.
First by trustee Sabo.
Second.
Second by trustee K. Janis. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk,
Yes,
please.
yes.
Go right ahead. Trustee Sabo.
Okay. On the whereases, and I'm going to count the whereases from the first page. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's the 10th whereas. It says, whereas the village also intends to construct and install certain water system improvements, to benefit the property. We have not, as a board, really discussed this, although it is intended. I think that I would like to see the wording change to whereas the village may construct, since the board has not made a decision on this, and the trustees have not really weighed in on this. We don't know the costs and we don't know the benefits yet.
If I just may address that.
Go ahead. This is the village attorney.
Making that amendment would not affect the essence of the agreement. The agreement does indicate, though, that there is no obligation by the village to construct any improvements, sewer or water. But
Okay,
to make that amendment would not affect the essence of the agreement.
Okay, well, that was, that's what I wanted to know.
Okay.
That's very good.
Great. I believe trustee Swees had a question.
Is there a consent on whether that should be done?
No, I think you just explained it perfectly, that it's not going to change the substance of the document.
It's not going to change the essence of it. I thought maybe it might.
Yeah. Okay. Trustee Swees, I believe you had a question?
Give me a second, I forgot
Okay.
where it was. It was in reference to, let me get a number here. where, 6.1, believe it's on page 9. And I was just wondering about why we are including current and future developments outside of the annexation area. Why is it being listed here where it says within the area generally bounded by 151st, Cedar, 159th, and Gauger? Why is that being put in there if this is just, we're supposed to be just talking about an annexation on the Boo type of property? Can you explain why that is in there, or
That was
that
just
should be?
a general description of.
I mean, that's a huge area, that's way outside of the Boo annexation, and I think it should.
I understand that, but the actual, just for your information, when we first annexed Fittyman Creek, the Forest Preserve District, okay, that encompassed property to the, I guess it would be to the north of the Boo property, okay? And this is not we're not just talking about if we put a water system in the Boo property. We're talking about if we put a water system in that might serve some or all of these other parcels as well. It's the same thing with the sewer system. This annexation agreement is with Boo, but the sewer improvements certainly would go from as they're presently designed, would go from Cedar Road on the east, traverse through the Fittyman Creek area, and connect or continue all the way to Gauger Road on the west. And then that whole area is, I believe it's bordered on the south by 159th Street, and then in some sections can go all the way to 151st Street. But this is just a general description, trustee. It's
If I could probably put it in layman's terms, it's basically, in my education, it's describing a service area, correct?
Yes.
And the service area, everybody that's in the recapture agreement, this is a description of the entire area that the sewer line is the ability or water line to service. It's just describing the service area.
In general, if this
in
takes
general.
place.
This
Okay.
particular annexation agreement is with the Boo family, but it's describing the system that what it would be able to service,
Okay.
the entire system.
Yeah, I have another question, too.
Okay, go ahead.
Just, it's on 12, it's section 7, letter C.
letter B.
C, as in
C.
Charlie.
Yes.
And should there be, when it says all, okay, the first line where it says all public charges, and then should we put something where it says at the end, and work performed in connection with the property? Should we be saying with the annexation property? So any legal engineering is just for that part? Is this going to be all-inclusive? Like, what if future variances and future public hearings about other things? Is this too open of a paragraph?
In other words, you're suggesting the village agrees to waive payment by owner of all public hearing charges, including engineering, planning, legal, and other professional and administrative fees reasonably incurred to the village for public hearing and work performed in connection with the
annexation of the property.
That's a excellent point, trustee, and I must admit, I probably missed it because I've read this so many times. That's an excellent point.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay, so then we would make that change if everybody is okay with that? All right. is there-
Specifically, what would the change,
We
wording
would
on the
just be
change
adding the
be?
words in section C, trustee Sabo.
Right.
In connection with the annexation.
In connection with the annexation of the property. And that was the intent.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much, trustee.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk? please
Yes, I would like to
Go
go
right ahead,
back.
trustee Sabo.
I would like to go back to 6.1 and mentioning all those properties. That is not what we have talked about as a board. I go back to what I had said before, that that is something I think that the board should be discussing separately, not knowing the costs or the benefits. And when it had been suggested that we look at the Locasio annexation, the Locasio annexation does not mention any route. So I don't know why this one should mention a route at all. I think that the annexation, I mean, should be simple. It should not include that territory. I don't
What-
see why
what-
that should be put in, because the board has not talked about the
Excuse me,
water
what
route.
territory are you talking about? What territory are you talking about?
I'm talking about 6.1
Yeah, I
that
just saw,
trustee Suisse had brought up, that was addressed already.
yes.
And I'm expressing the fact that I do not think that that should be in there because we have not discussed this. I think it's premature to list this area and in this annexation agreement, and that language should be removed
Well,
and keep
if
it
I-
simple like it was for the Locasio
If I may,
annexation.
and I'll try to explain this to you. The engineering that was done for the sewer system encompassed the property which is in the Fittyman Creek Forest Preserve area, going from Cedar on the east to Gulgar on the west, and then the area in between, generally in between 151st Street and 159th Street. And we had engineering done on that.
Yes.
The property that we annexed with respect to Mr. Locasio's property, there was no engineering done for that. And Mr. Locasio and I and the mayor and the village manager discussed at length that whole concept. And at one point, it was going to be in the agreement, but it became so difficult to work with because we had no numbers to work with. But here we had engineering, here we had numbers, here we had population equivalents to work with that had all been engineered by McDonough. And by saying this, all this is saying is that if the village does do this, the village is not committed to do it, but if it does do this, then it has the right to be reimbursed from the owners of this property for their portion of the costs. And I think it's important that you put that in now on the front end, and you eliminate a goodly amount of negotiations on the back end. And it also gives the owners an understanding so that if they're not going to do it, if they're going to market their properties, they can say to whomever they're dealing with, okay, here's our agreement, and it's a public record. But you're not annexing these properties, Trustee Sable. What you're saying is, if we do it, we're going to have the right to be reimbursed from the owners of this property for a portion of the cost. Mr. Locasio did agree that he would pay for water and/or sewer that benefited his property if in fact it was installed. So, I mean, it wasn't completely left out of his agreement. It was just a different situation because we had no engineering with respect to his agreement. But we put it in here because at least we had a fundamental understanding of what we were going to be doing. But there's no commitment by the village to do this.
And in Lacasio's case, the difference is that water exists.
Yes.
He can get water right now to that property. It's right across the street. This is a
Understandable.
situation where I don't want to have to go back with two different recapture agreements and have two pieces of puzzle not being linked together. Because if we don't bring water out to the unincorporated area along with the sewer line, there's no reason to put the sewer line out there. That's number one. And number two, if you don't do it in 5 years, the Boo family will be going somewhere else. I can tell you where they're going to go, to Lockport.
Well, I believe there's a 20-year boundary agreement. I wonder if that possibly can be done easily. But my reason for bringing this up after Trustee Suisse had brought it up is because as a board, we haven't discussed this particular route. So I can understand why, if you explain it that way, but I also feel that this should have been done with the board ahead of time before.
We haven't gotten to the engineering of the water line yet.
I know.
We've done the engineering on the sewer, we've made our agreement with the county, we have the route for the sewer line. These are the steps you take, and what we're doing in this recapture agreement, we're putting in all the pieces of the puzzle in their annexation into the village, and we're generally describing the service areas that will be created by the sewer line and also by the water line. That's all this document's saying.
I know,
Now-
it just seems that the
Okay.
board should have discussed that. I
that's
have
fine.
another question.
Go right ahead.
thinking about the property owner or the developer, that in C3 there are present uses. We know that sometimes this might change, there might be some added, some removed, and so forth. On 4.1, under zoning classification, it does mention the current permitted and special uses. So would that then prevent the developer from following the new C3, if that did so happen?
No,
Would he
it just
be
says,
permitted?
it just lists what the current permitted and special uses are. But in section, I'm trying to find it quickly. Section 9, it says applicable ordinances in compliance with village codes. It does indicate that the subject property and all construction of all improvements of any kind shall be developed and performed pursuant to the applicable terms and provisions of the, and then here it mentions the village's zoning ordinance, subdivision control ordinance, building codes, et cetera, and then it goes on to say, and any other court ordinance in effect on the date of this agreement and is hereinafter adopted, or those ordinances currently in effect as hereinafter amended. So we left flexibility in there.
Okay, that's fine. I was concerned about that.
Okay, I'm going to have the village attorney also explain to you when you vote on this, it needs
Yes,
a supermajority, I believe.
Yes, approval of an ordinance, adoption of an ordinance approving an annexation agreement requires a vote by 2/3 of the corporate authorities holding office. So that means a minimum of 5 votes in this particular instance. Approval of, or an adoption of an ordinance annexing the property only requires a simple majority. But I just wanted to let you know that at this point in time concerning the approval of the annexation agreement.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Can I just have one more question?
Sure.
Can I ask the attorney on the 6.2?
6.2?
6.2, like the fourth line, is that where it says the owner shall only be required to pay the portion of the cost? Does that, I know what the title says, but that statement, should we put something in, should be allowed to make partial payment? Is there, do you need to change anything there?
What we
I know the
what we
title
did
says
there,
partial payment.
We set up a situation with this particular property where if, on a one-time basis, if they determine that they can market a portion of the entire parcel as opposed to being able to market the whole 45-plus acres, on that first transaction, it would be determined how much
A portion of that, okay.
How much of the whole, what part of the entire portion it is, and they could pay at that time. And then any future development at on the second instance, they would have to pay the balance. That's all that is.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions?
One more.
Go ahead.
We are, because the Booth family is not the developer of this. They're only the...
They're the owner.
They're the owner. They're not developing. And someday this property will be developed by a firm. The fees that are being waived for the Booth family for that reason will be picked up by the developer so that the village does not lose that that income?
No. We discussed this. The type of development you'll see at that corner, these are fees that, are not even worth discussing. I mean, you're talking, I believe, do you remember the number, Cam? What was the fees that are being waived?
I can look and see if
like $2,500, $2,700. So you probably could put it into some type of incentive agreement, put it together with an incentive agreement if you were trying to collect these fees. But no, the intention was to waive these fees, and the other purpose of waiving the fees is the Boo family is giving us an easement. If the water line goes down Gauger Road, they're providing us with an easement on their property in lieu of these fees.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I'm just talking about being able to recapture fees later, because there's not just this property, there are several properties along 159th Street. And so if if you keep adding that up, I mean, that becomes quite a sum.
Well, these are just the fees for the annexation itself, Margaret. They have nothing to do with
They're just for
construction.
annexation, not
Yes,
for
that was the
construction.
point that trustee Suisse
Okay.
just made. It's just for the annexations.
Okay, are there any further questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Cajianis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yuki?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, this would be J11. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 13-071, an ordinance annexing certain territory into the village of Homer Glen, Illinois? Catherine L. Boo, David C. Boo, Catherine L. Boo as custodian for Brandon Michael Boo, Aaron Carl Boo, Rachel Louise Boo, and Sarah Colleen Boo, and Catherine L. Boo as trustee of the Marion L. Myers Gift Trust for Brandon Michael Boo and Aaron Carl Boo under agreement dated December 27, 1990, and First Midwest Bank as successor trustee to First National Bank of Lockport as trustee under trust agreement dated October 2nd, 1995, and known as trust number 72-23580.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa.
Second.
Second by trustee Yukich. Is there any discussion?
I just have to make a comment.
Go
to
right ahead.
change. No, just to change correct the names on the ordinance if you're going to pass it.
What,
I've prepared a set of
Oh.
corrected.
Oh,
corrected-
okay.
There was only one name. The first name of Rachel was misspelled, and I've prepared a corrected set, and I believe Aaron may have also.
Oh, with the
fi-
trustees' names too.
Oh,
you
I
need
did,
to
I
change.
did not catch that. I'm sorry. Oh, my.
what do you got
No.
wrong?
It has Mary Nemec's
Oh.
name. That I didn't do. That wasn't my fault.
You haven't been around in a while, Terry.
Okay.
Going back to
Sorry,
the
Sharon.
annexation agreement, Galder Road spelled wrong, if you could find that one.
We'll.
Okay, we'll get all the spellings correct
Get
and
the
the proper
spellings correct.
names, the trustees that are voting on this. The clerk takes that data down. Okay, is there any further questions or discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Cajianis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yuki?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J12. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 13-072, an ordinance granting a map amendment amending the zoning classifications of certain real property located generally on the northeast corner of 159th Street and Galver Road, Lockport, Illinois, from the E1 Single Family Residential District to the C3 General Business District. Once again, Catherine Boo, L. Boo, David C. Boo, Catherine L. Boo is custodian for Brandon Michael Boo, Aaron Carl Boo, Rachel Louise Boo, and Sarah Colleen Boo, and Catherine L. Boo is trustee of the Marion L. Myers Gift Trust for Brandon Michael Boo and Aaron Carl Boo under agreement dated December 27th, 1990, and First Midwest Bank as successor trustee to the First National Bank of Lockport as trustee under trust agreement dated October 2nd, 1995, and known as trustee number 72-23580.
I so moved.
First by trustee Yukich.
Second.
Second by trustee Cajianis. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yuki?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Cajianis?
Aye.
Motion carries. Welcome to Homer Glen.
All right.
All righty. This would be J13. Is there a motion to accept the proposal and approve a contract with Cooper Haven Construction, Gilbert's, Illinois, for the first three projects of the, for the 2014 Village of Homer Glen Works Stormwater Improvement Program in the amount of $117,630.
So moved.
First by that was trustee Costa,
I second.
second by trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, this is the lowest bid. We have done work with Copenhagen before and found their work to be good, and so we're excited about moving forward with this project. Michael can answer any questions.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yuki?
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee Janice.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be, I believe, J15. Is there a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the IDOT local agency agreement for federal participation for construction of the 151st Street and Parker Road intersection project in the amount of $1,727,000? It is understood that the Homer Township Highway Department has agreed to provide the funds for the local match, approximately $345,400 from their road and bridge fund.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee Yukich. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee Janice.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Sluse.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mayor, you gotta go
Mayor.
back to 14.
Did I miss 14?
J14.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you are correct.
If we stopped at 12, we wouldn't have to do this.
Okay. Okay, we'll backtrack to, well, that motion just carried. So we'll backtrack now to J14. Is there a motion to approve the proposal from HR Green for construction engineering services related to the first three projects of the 2014 Village of Homer Glen Works Stormwater Improvement Program in the amount of $13,685?
I so move.
First by trustee Suisse,
Second.
second by trustee Kate Janis. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee Janice.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Sluse.
Aye.
Motion carries. We did J15. We are now on J16. Is there a motion to approve an extension of an existing special use permit that allows for a preliminary planned unit development for Glen Oak Center development from January 11, 2014 to January 11, 2015?
So moved.
First by trustee Kay Janis, second by trustee Costa. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, real quick, just a minute, if I could, because it'll seem weird when this comes back to the board so quickly. It'll actually be coming back to the board in January for a final review and potential approval. The reason why we had to do this tonight is because we only have this one meeting in December, and he wasn't quite ready. He might have been ready if we had a meeting in 2 weeks. So you're extending it, but in reality, you'll be dealing with the final proposal here probably within a month, 2 months tops. Okay? Thank you.
Great. Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Janice.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Sluse.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Okay, that concludes legislation tonight. The motion carries. The next items on the agenda are a workshop item. Cam?
Very good, Mayor, thank you. This is actually a pretty quick, we think this will be a pretty quick workshop. So I'm just going to do a little intro for Erin, and whenever Erin does a workshop, she handles it pretty quickly. So I'll get to her as quick as I can. So this tonight is about medical cannabis. And I just want to, I know, Mayor, you've talked pretty eloquently about this at meetings in the past, and you said a few things tonight. This is all about establishing a zoning classification. And the reason why we need to do that is because the state has passed this new law that everybody's read about and is familiar with, and the state is allowing two legal uses. One, a store to sell medical cannabis out of, and the other, a facility where you can grow medical cannabis. And so what the village is trying to do, what village staffs actually across the whole state, staffs and plan commissions and village boards are trying to do is we're trying to be proactive, establish the zoning classification, get them on the books before people walk in the door. And I want to be real clear about it. If someone comes in and wants to open up a business like one of these two businesses, they would either talk to myself or they talk to Erin or they talk to Janie. And we have not been approached by anybody interested in opening anything in Homer Glen. And the law has been on the books now for quite some time, but we're just trying to be proactive. So the reason that you're talking about it tonight, or Erin's going to give your presentation, is because we have a little bit unique. Normally, the village staff and the plan commission agree on most things. On this item, we have two different recommendations that we're putting forward. The staff has one recommendation. Plan commission has decided to go a little bit different route. So Erin is going to explain to you tonight the difference between those. First of all, I'll tell you a little bit more about the law here in the state. And then she's going to explain the two differences between the two recommendations. And the reason why we need to do that is because we need to get a little bit of feedback from you tonight if there is one or the other recommendation that you prefer, whether you prefer the staff's or the plan commission's, because then we will develop the documents to go along with your preferences for your consideration in January. Okay? So Erin, why don't you go right ahead?
Okay, thank you. As Cameron said, the Compassionate Use of Medical Cannabis Pilot Program Act was just signed into law this year. On April 17th, the bill was passed by the House of Representatives, and then on May 17th, 2013, the act was passed by the Illinois Senate. On August 1st, 2013, the act was signed into law by Illinois Governor Pat Quinn, and then Illinois joined 19 other states to legalize the use of medical cannabis. DC also allows it. The act allows for a qualified patient to obtain 2.5 ounces of cannabis every 14 days. In order to be considered a qualified patient, you must suffer from a debilitating medical condition, and those are all listed in the act. There's approximately 30 medical conditions such as HIV, cancer, and glaucoma that are considered as debilitating medical conditions. The act also allows for the creation of two things, which is what we're trying to zone for here. The first of which is a dispensary organization, and the second is a cultivation center. The dispensary organization is what we'll talk about first, and this is where qualified patients can obtain their medical cannabis from. There may be up to 60 dispensing organizations allowed in Illinois. And they have to be geographically spaced, and they can't be located within 1,000 feet of the property line of an existing school or child care facility. And they also can't be located in any apartments, condos, homes, or any area that's zoned residential. The cultivation center is the second type of new creation from this act. And cannabis that is distributed at the dispensary organizations is permitted to be grown at these cultivation centers. Registered cultivation centers must not be located within 2,500 feet of the property line of any school or daycare facility. And the act allows for up to 22 cultivation centers, and that's one per Illinois State Police District boundary. And this is just a map of Illinois' state police district boundaries. Just to zoom in a little bit, Homer Glen is represented by that red star, roughly. And we're in District 5, which you can see is all of Will County, all of Kendall County, and all of Grundy County. So just to recap, that whole District 5 would be allowed one cultivation center. Section 140 of the Act says that a unit of local government may enact reasonable zoning ordinances or resolutions that are not in conflict with this Act or with Department of Agricultural or Department of Public Health rules, regulating registered medical cannabis cultivation center or medical cannabis dispensing organizations. So basically, we're allowed to put in zoning regulations as long as they don't go above and beyond what's in the Act. The Plan Commission process, the Plan Commission held 2 workshops and 2 public hearings on the topic of medical cannabis. First, we started out by discussing whether the dispensary organizations and cultivation centers should be considered permitted or special uses. And then next, we reviewed what Homer Glen zoning district would be appropriate in which to place both the organizations and the cultivation centers. And this first slide shows what the Plan Commission recommendation is. They recommended that both cultivation centers and distribution organizations should be allowed in the C5 and the I1 zoning districts as special uses. And the difference between a permitted use and a special use is that a permitted use is a use by right. So just by owning the land, you're permitted to engage in that use. A special use requires a public hearing and then the review of the Plan Commission and the Village Board. So again, just to review, the Plan Commission said special use in both the C5 and the I1 district. This next slide shows our zoning map, which has a lot of different colors, so this one can be a little hard to see here, but that blue line down the center is Bell Road, and then the second blue line at the bottom is 159th Street. The properties that are boxed in yellow are those that are I1 and C5. And then this next one zooms in and focuses here on the C5 properties with this first one, that's Bell Road to the left. And then we have 159th Street. And then we have our C5 properties coming up here in yellow. And then our staff recommended that both cultivation centers and distribution organizations should be allowed as special uses in the I-1 zoning district.
So, thank you, Aaron, appreciate that. So there's really no right or wrong between those two recommendations. Staff's recommendation, I would describe as is more conservative. Obviously, it's one zoning classification versus two. The amount of land available in I is less than what's available in I plus C5. And so I don't think I think the Planning Commission really seriously discussed this for quite a long time. They felt that they wanted to make the decisions about these as best they could. Staff just differs and feels like we should focus at this time just on the industrially zoned property. So those are the two differences. And if you have any questions, we can answer those. Or if you feel like you could give us some feedback on which of those two recommendations you would like to see come forward in January, then we could appropriately develop the documents. Mayor?
Thank you. Nice presentation. Like we said before, this is a preemptive type of situation, creating the district. But if you looked on that map and you saw the whole of Will County that included other areas that, let's see here, Grundy. I don't think Homer Glen will ever see this with a sales tax at 8% and Grundy being at, I believe, 6%. So we're creating a district that I don't think will ever get used, but at the same time, we're saying that if for some strange reason somebody decided to pay 8% sales tax instead of 6% and came to Homer Glen, they would have to be in this location, this zoning classification. So we get that real clear. As far as should it be for both those zoning districts, staff's recommending one thing, Plan Commission is recommending two locations, or two zoning classifications. I'll open the floor up to whoever wants to make a recommendation. Mike?
Well, my number one question for legal counsel is, do we have to allow it in the community, number one?
Do you have to
Yes.
allow it in the community?
So if someone comes and wants to open up the business, do we have to let them in?
You have to have the zoning in place
We
to
do.
protect yourself, all right? The question, do you have to allow it?
You may have to speak up a little
Yeah,
bit.
I said you have to have the zoning in place to protect yourself. Do you have to allow it? I think you have the distribution center where there's one per police district. All 22 police districts, Illinois State Police districts in the state get one. And then you have 60 dispensaries, and there's no limit on how many can be within a particular district, but the idea is to have them reasonably dispersed throughout the state. If someone meets all of the qualifications, my initial sense would be yes, but I don't know enough about the statute or the requirements that the regulations that the state's going to impose yet to give you a definitive answer. I don't want to be evasive, I just don't know enough about it, okay?
My opinion then is if it's something that legally we can't say no to, then I just like the idea of having one district, which would be the I-1.
Protect yourself
Really
as best you can
Yeah.
by
Limiting.
choosing or limiting your locations and the requirements that have to be met to fit into those locations.
Yeah, I-1 would be, like Mr. Gerwin mentioned, Anico Drive over in that, which is considered industrial. That was staff's recommendation. I tend to agree with staff on that. And anybody wants to add anything, what'll end up happening here is the staff will prepare an ordinance based upon, what we want them to do. Do you want it in two districts or just the one district?
Are you gonna take a poll?
Yeah, pretty much. Go ahead, George.
Same thing, I want it. I don't want it here, so let's limit it as much as possible.
Okay, Margaret?
I agree with I-1. I believe that I think it protects the village. Since the statutes aren't complete, And that's what you're saying, the laws are not complete yet. We don't know what we're dealing with either.
I'm not familiar with the regulations that the state is going to impose with respect to these various establishments.
Because
The-
they
The
haven't.
legislation is in place.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is, the details are not there.
If they are, I have not familiarized myself with them.
Okay, I'd like to ask you, when you said there was no limit on something. That
There
there's,
are 60, there's an allowance for 60 dispensary licenses statewide. Unlike the licenses for what I'll call the farms or the distribution center, where you have a limitation of 1 in each state police district, they did not put a limitation on how many dispensary licenses could be issued of those 60 in any one particular district. They were hoping for a reasonable dispersion or dispersal of these dispensaries throughout the state, but they didn't say there could only be 2 in each state police district, or there must be at least 3 in each state police district. They did not create that limitation.
okay.
Okay. So you tend to agree with, you would like to see it just limited to?
No, I agree with staff that it should be an I-1. We don't know everything about it. This is the best choice we have.
I think when you look at it, you can always widen it if you want to widen it in the future. This at least just shows that, you have it parked in one zoning district, and I think you always have the chance to widen it if you want to widen it.
I did have a question. This is something that every municipality has to do. We do have to set up a zoning, or
No, you don't have to, but if you don't, you're not limiting the location at all. You're not making a proactive choice as to what, if it comes, where it must go.
okay. All right, so that means that we, again, are protecting ourselves.
Okay. Trustee K. Janice?
The question was asked and answered, so I'm not going to belabor that question any longer. So I would be in favor of limiting to the one classification.
Okay. Trustee Suisse?
Yes, I agree with staff to the one zoning.
Okay. Then we'll have staff prepare the proper documentation for this, just in the I zoning, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, then this concludes the workshop.
I would like to ask the attorney a question.
Sure,
At
go right
this
ahead.
time, since all information is not known, there wouldn't be any applications coming in.
Trustee Sabo, I'll have to find that out and answer that question for you. If there's an application, it would be made for locating in a particular area, and you're going to pass an ordinance at your first meeting in January?
Correct.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Then the workshop's complete. We would be L. Is there any old business? Okay. Is there any new business? Okay. Then the next portion of the meeting would be executive session. The next item is executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of discussing minutes, land acquisition, and potential litigation? First by trustee Yukich, second by trustee Costa. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. We're going to go into executive session. We'll be back after it. How about 5 minutes?